Welcome back. Just 46 kilometers to go of, well, hell, actually. 5 minutes and 37 is the gap between a breakaway group which has just started to fracture a little bit. Not surprised, there was 31 riders in it for much of the day. We had a pacey start, an uncategorized climb. We've got 3 other climbs to deal with before the big one at the end of today. It is the Queen stage of this 68th Vuelta, and the Langliru is awaiting. It has broken many hearts and indeed many challenges in the past. It's rapidly become a feared classic amongst all climbs in pro cycling, and it is right that they are afraid. It is a nightmare ramp, 13 kilometers in length just about, with sections exceeding 20%. Cars in the past have stalled on it when there has been moisture around and have failed to restart. It's caused rider protests in the past, but today it forms our essentially grand finale, you might say. Well, it'll certainly be a pivotal point, that's for sure. A warm welcome to you on a slightly chilly day. That is what we're dealing with, and you see right at the end, Langliru. Well, who will be the greatest amongst the GC contenders? That's the question. We spoke to Chris Horner earlier this morning, looked nice and relaxed, and said he's just thankful to be back in red and get rid of the white jersey, which normally designates youth. He's far away from that, being 42 years of age just about. He turns that in a couple of weeks. Well, he's here turning back the clock, and you can see as well that turning up the heat, our Radio Shack just behind the orange of Euskaltel is Horner's team, and they have been working so brilliantly for him. He said the hardest part of this year's Vuelta was actually the team time trial and trying to keep up as best he could with Fabian Cancellara, who has bowed out to go and focus on the World Championships. Our focus today is right here and on this man. He is not bowed by pressure, it seems, and 5.5 months off due to a severe leg injury. Maybe it's the training schedule to take if you're targeting a late season Grand Tour, which of course is exactly what the Vuelta is. He has fairly skipped up the mountains, and he's causing all kinds of worriment amongst the main contenders. Alejandro Valverde, there he is, leading the points classification, hence the green jersey. He's 1 minute and 6 seconds down on our leader Horner. Vincenzo Nibali sits in front of him. Nibali is 3 seconds only behind Chris Horner. That was the margin he led Horner ahead of yesterday's stage. Just got distanced at the end, and maybe the hard work that has been demanded of the man who won, of course, the Giro d'Italia this year. He's demanded a lot of his team as well. They haven't had a stage win. They've all been looking after him. Today was a great chance maybe for some of his teammates to go off up the road. There's just one of them left towards the front. However, Jakob Fuglsang was in the early break. So was Paolo Tiralongo. And Paolo Tiralongo is still very much up there. It kind of begs the question, how much firepower is being required by Nibali? Fuglsang is still in the break as well. That break has been stretched on each of the climbs that have been categorized so far. Both of those climbs have been taken by Nicolas Ede, who wears, I should say, the King of the Mountains polka dot jersey, and he's extended his lead on those nearest to him. And if he goes well on the penultimate climb, categorized one, I think he might just have it in the bag. We shall see. Entering some of the little mountain passages, as you can see at the moment. 43 kilometers to go then. They are going to approach, it's a sort of a gentle uphill ramp they've got, almost a false flat for 35 kilometers as they approach the foot of the penultimate climb today. That in itself is a difficult one. There's an intermediate sprint along the way. Not really of any concern because the break will sail through that. And the best placed of the breakaway riders is David Arroyo at 15 minutes and 55. Yes, you're right. Juan Antonio Flecha is up here again. He just can't help himself. I guess with Vacansoleil coming to a close at the end of this season, so you won't see that starburst, that sunburst, I should say, again, I'm afraid, not unless they re-enter cycling sponsorship at a later date. But Vacansoleil will be closing, and Flecha, I think, has just backed himself up as the eternal star. A lot of people thought that Flecha was coming to the end of his career, but the way that Chris Horner is riding into the leader's jersey, and well, he may well be our winner of this event. Amazing. The oldest ever winner of a Grand Tour would be something very, very special. maybe people are starting to think, has Juan Antonio Fletcher still got quite a few years left in him? Well, he's been in many breaks in this Vuelta, and I wouldn't be surprised if that was exactly the case. So we've got a brief hiatus at the moment. You see the gap is 5 minutes and 36, 42 kilometres to go though, and a lot of very motivated teams behind. Expect to see Katusha putting in a bit of effort on behalf of Joaquim Rodriguez, who says he wants and desperately needs to be in the top 5, maybe a podium. Right now he's in 4th place, so he's maybe hoping to gap Alejandro Valverde. He's got to find 51 seconds, unfortunately, if he wants to do that. There's Ade in that polka dots, part of the break. Goodness me, Sean, that's how we stand at the moment, but a lot of them won't be standing at the end of today. I think we might even have quite a few step-offs.
Well, we've had one already. You see Puccio, Salvador Puccio from Sky. He's actually abandoned already. Unless somebody is really struggling at the very end of their energies or injury, I think they will struggle on today. And we're so close, penultimate day. I know it's a horrible and a real difficult day for everybody, even for the guys who are coming up 10, 15, 20 minutes behind. Langaroo is a difficult one to get up, no matter what way you go, but they will try and get to it because they're so close to the final stage tomorrow into Madrid. It's going to be a spectacular finish once again. And when you look at the general classification, all the climbs we've had in this race, mountain top finishes, hill top finishes, and it's still so close to the general classification, you know, that 3 seconds. And for the podium, when you look at it, you know, it's all to fight for the podium, and it's been an amazing race. And again, this will have to be an amazing stage today, because they are going to really fight it out for the places on the podium. And the overall jersey, the overall winner is still to fight for. Nibali could be the one. Maybe today he can recover and produce something, you know, that we haven't seen him being able to do in the last number of days.
Well, I'm hoping for his sake he can take that step forward. At the moment, Chris Horner is, as we said, looking the most relaxed. I think Nibali will be hoping that there is some rain. When the grizzly stuff came down in the Giro d'Italia, he was head and shoulders above everybody. We'll see what Rodriguez can do as well today. Can he possibly take that 3rd step on the podium? Well, it seems that Euskaltel today is setting their stall out very early. They have men in the break, or a man in the break, I should say, Juan Jose Oroz. We'll see how he manages. I suspect that Igor Anton and Michael Nieve could well have been those who some would have picked early on today to do something special. Everyone who is still here, very much riding together. You can see the Sky team as well. Kirienka, incidentally, in the breakaway. So is Dario Cataldo for Sky. So they've got men up the road. As far as Lampre are concerned, they've got Diego Ulissi in the break. Now that's a pretty good card to play, Sean, out front.
Yes, it is. And looking at the situation at the moment, we're seeing here with that big group of riders, which was originally 31 riders in the breakaway. Euskaltel once again riding here because they are concerned, of course, about the team classification, because some of the teams up there, you know, they're represented by a number of riders, and Movistar are quite strong up there, and they're, you know, in 2nd position, 5:44 down the team classification, and with 2 men up there with the advantage at the moment, they want to take down that quite a lot. So there's a lot of little races within the race here. It's not only the overall winner of this Vuelta, but, you know, team classification, the mountain classification. Ade, he's done a real good job in the last number of days getting into the breakaway, and being in the breakaway today, he's took, you know, maximum points, so he is pretty much secured. But mathematically he can still be beaten if Horner, you know, gets up on the next line, but it doesn't look like with the advantage at the moment. So it seems like that Ade should be able to hold on to the mountain jersey. Points classification as well as to play for there between Valverde, Roche. So, you know, there's so much can change, so much to go for in this race, and so many classements. There's a lot of tactics being calculated out there on the road.
You can lose a lot of time on the final climb here today. You can lose the advantage that the break has right now quite easily. It is a hellish climb. It's the 6th time we've been here, incidentally. Juan Jose Maria Jimenez won here, Gilberto Simoni, Roberto Haras, Alberto Contador, and Juan Jacobo, of course, in 2011. So it is really one for the pure climbers, Sean. It's almost pure and simple.
Yes, well, it's for It's for the climbers, and when you talk about climbers, of course, you talk about small, lightweight guys, and when the percentage goes to what it is here, 23.5% in one section, the lightweights have the advantage, and but again, there's some riders who can get up this sort of stuff with power. It is going to be a killer of a climb if you have got the energy left, and I think that is the most important thing in this race. The guys who are finishing with a lot of energy left, that's where it's going to be the big advantage. And we've seen Horner, he seems to be the guy who is still very fresh. Nibali, he looks so convincing. 5-6 days ago, I would have put all my money in the hat for Nibali to win this race, but things have changed drastically. But it can change so quickly. It could be today that we see some of the men who are really performed well in the last number of days could get in difficulty, and if you're on a little bit of an off day, Langaroo will catch you out.
It certainly will. And believe me, if Sean Kelly said he was going to put all his money on Nibali a few days ago, that's how comfortable he was looking. And then all of a sudden cracks started to appear. And my, we have Chris Horner, 42 almost years of age. It would be absolutely remarkable if he gets up there. Horner, though, is quite an explosive rider. So is, I guess you could say, plenty of others, like Joaquim Rodriguez. Today, Sean, it's more likely to be about tempo and about just driving on and almost not responding to those little firecracker moments. Chris Horner does bounce like like a fairy on a needle tip, it seems, when he's out of the saddle. More often than not, it's where he likes to ride, but he is quite explosive. He does like to turn on the gas and turn it off again. Does the final climb really play into the hands of Horner, or is it more likely, do you think, that the rhythm of Vincenzo Nibali and maybe even Alejandro Valverde that they're able to set constantly will favour them?
Well, going on the past number of days, the form of the riders, Horner is definitely in the driving seat. He has that explosive power there, but he doesn't show it. He doesn't show it like Joaquim Rodriguez yesterday. When Rodriguez goes, like, he just puts in an unbelievable burst of speed and then he has to hold it. Horner, he puts in that burst of speed and goes away a little bit slower. So it is a big acceleration, because to ride away from Nibali, ride away from Valverde, as Horner have done many times in this race, well, you have to be pretty explosive. The thing is with Horner, he used a bigger gear and he looks like he's not going that fast, but he guaranteed when you ride away from those big champions, you have to be going fast, you have to be strong, and Horner has got that, and he's the one very impressive. Angaroo, if Joaquim Rodriguez is in good shape, I think he's the one maybe could be a danger again today. The morale from yesterday's victory is going to count a lot as well for him today.
I think you're absolutely right, but there are so many other chestnuts in the fire at the moment. They are heading towards the clouds. Will they turn into storm clouds? If they do, that will be a massive card of advantage to be played by Vincenzo Nibali, who does not mind that one little bit. Yes, one in appalling conditions, of course, on the Giro d'Italia. Oh, we've had mostly sunshine, but today, well, they're just going to be thinking about the black stuff. We're talking tarmac and just how quickly they can eat it up. 5 minutes and 37 is the gap to a quality group out front. We'll take a break and we'll name some of those who are up the road. They did number 31. It's starting to thin down just a little bit, but plenty of talent exists up there. They may have the party to themselves.
In Canada continues with a challenge and the Grand Prix of Quebec and Montreal. Plenty of big names in the pack and a serious race to the finish. Cycling and the Montreal Grand Prix tomorrow evening at 6, live on British Eurosport.
In life and sport, dealing with the challenges ahead requires focus, concentration, and a will to succeed. The International University Sports Federation promotes sports values in tune with the academic spirit. Thousands of student athletes from around the world participate in FISU's world-class sport competitions. Today's stars, tomorrow's leaders.
If you're a landlord, you need specialist insurance. With Direct Line Landlord Insurance, if something goes wrong, we're ready to help with your own specialist claims handler. to help get your property back in order and keep your rent coming in. So whether you have one rental property or lots of them, if you find a cheaper quote, we guarantee to beat it by 10%. So take the direct line.
A low price usually means there's limits to what you get. Well, not anymore. PlusNet are making a stand. Right now, you can get PlusNet unlimited broadband from just $2.99 a month when you take line rental. Now that's a deal. So, get unlimited broadband from $2.99 a month. Now that's how you do unlimited. Be quick, get unlimited broadband from just $2.99 a month. Go online or call 0800 313 4444 now. PlusNet will do you proud.
Yokohama, your tire.
Chase is on. Hardly surprising. We are racing at the moment to the foot of the penultimate climb, which in itself on any other day would have been a mighty peak to be dealt with. It is the Alto del Cordal. I think we've had finishes there in the past. It maxes out at 12.14%. In fact, I think at certain parts it gets up to 14%. Scary stuff. Yes, they'll be hitting that, and it gets very steep very, very quickly. 10s, 11s, that kind of thing, over the 5 kilometers almost of its length. So 5.3 kilometers, average 9.6, but with horrible parts of 14%. Yeah, it might be in a finish on another day, but today there is worse to come. So I suspect that if you want to be in a decent place, you'd better be at least within the frame by the time you get to it, because anybody who's got some talent who crests that penultimate climb will take the downhill, and it bounces straight into the next climb. So you better be absolutely on your game. It's about 11 kilometers of downhill off the peak of the Cordal before you hit the foot of the Angry Gru, which its ramps, as we've already said, of 23.5% and more. Goodness me, cars can't get up it in the wet. Danger signs lie everywhere. There's runoff parts for vehicles who are coming down the other way, escape roads. It's that scary. It's been a place where we've had rider protests in the past. 2002, David Miller got off the bike, refused to cross the line, stopped half a meter short of it. He wasn't leading, but he was in the top 10 at the time. Took his number off and placed it on the road half a meter before the line and retired from the race, saying it was absolutely disgraceful. He later apologised, and his team were none too pleased either, because they would have had a top 10. It bodes well for all kinds of points, including team points, of course. 31.5. So what's the point of today? It's about survival. When you get to that final climb, there's just going to be one pace that you can set, and it's your coping pace, particularly on some of those more testy ramps. Sean, at the beginning today, Rodriguez has set his bike up with a 36.28. Most riders choosing a 34.28 today. Would you like to explain to people exactly what code we're talking and what it means for these guys?
Well, the gradient, the real gradient, as we talked about there, you know, the 23.5%, sorry, you need a very low ratio, which means it's a gear for going uphill. Normally the guys would have a 36 in a ring and a 25 on the rear, which is the bigger sprocket where you have on the rear wheel. But today a lot of the riders are using this compact 34 inside ring and 28 on the rear. So that's a real climbing gear, and that's something you use for going up very steep stuff. But I would be sure there's a lot of other riders have more 34, 30 probably to get up it. And it's a calculation if you're really going to be going for it and you know, battling here to stay with the top 10, 15 guys. Well then, you know, the 34, 28 should be sufficient. But again, it depends on your weight. If you're a heavier guy, the bigger you are, well, then the more weight you have to carry up, and the steep gradient is going to catch you out. The steeper it is, the more you're going to suffer. So you need a little bit of a lower gear. We do hear that Rodriguez is using a 36-28, but a lot of the riders have 34-28.
30 kilometres to go. You're looking at the escape group. Now, it was 31 riders, and it has moshed down to 26. Yes, so the battles early on have really played had a big impact. This is back in the pack with Sammy Sanchez. You're going to see a lot of Spanish riders getting picked out today on the Queen stage here in Spain. It's the 68th running of the Vuelta, and I can't think of a more dramatic way to be approaching Madrid tomorrow, with a gap of just 3 seconds between our principal riders of Chris Horner from Radio Shack Leopard Trek, leading by 3 seconds Vincenzo Nibali of Astana. Now, Nibali's been here before. Rodriguez has not. I beg your pardon, Chris Horner has not. Rodriguez has also been here in the past. But Chris Horner has basically said that this is kind of new territory to him, but he's unconcerned. Well, he's going to be concerned by the end of the day. He might as well, the pack, be concerned about those who are up the road. From Astana, we have Fuglsang, we have Grivko, we have Tirolongo. From Euskaltel, we have Oroth in the break, and his teammates are putting on the hurt for just about everyone. Katusha are also accelerating at the moment, despite the fact they've got Kazonchuk and Vicioso up the road. From Cofidis in their familiar red, we have Jerome Coppel. Bauke Mollema of Belkin is there with Juan Manuel Garate. Bernard Inzausti was there earlier. I think he's still there. Amanol Erviti likewise from Movistar. So they've kind of put some insurance men up the road. We have Serge Pauls from Omega Pharma Quickstep. Kirienka, you spotted him from Sky. Yeah, he's still there. Up there with Cataldo earlier on. Juan Antonio Fletcher we've mentioned with Val's Ferry. Mendes and Barta from Netap Endura. I think one of those has backed into the main pack. Paterski from Cannondale. Grivko we've mentioned from Astana. Frolinger from Argos Shimano. Arroyo, that's a fascinating one. Cardozo and Piedra from Caja Rural. They are looking very, very handsome. Kenny Elizondo from Francis de Jure, De Graaf from Lotto Belisol. These are guys who are all in the break. Of them, Diego Ulizzi from Lampre Merida, who was second yesterday to Rodriguez, almost ignored as we were looking for the gaps, as you probably noticed. But Ulizzi is going extraordinarily well. He, for Lampre, is in the break. That could be a great chance for Lampre to take their first stage win and salvage something from this Vuelta. There are other teams that want to go well. I suspected that Astana would all look after Nibali today, but Tirolongo and Fuglsang are both in the break, and both extremely strong and capable of doing something today. Sean, it's a mishmash of strategy today. Somebody's going to get it right, but it's one of those where you really struggle to guess what the main strategy will be in terms of balancing insurance, protection, and indeed just going for it.
Yes, a lot of strife to go on. As we can see, two riders being pulled back there. Betancourt was one that was out in the breakaway. The Lotto Belisol rider, De Graaf, also being pulled back by the chasing group. Again, as we've seen in the last number of days, the breakaway gets away, and it looks like that is going to be the breakaway of the day. And I think there's a lot of riders saying, I'm in the breakaway, this is looking a good one, I'm going to be in with a chance to have a go for a stage victory. They start riding, and then suddenly there's a team take it up for some reason, and you know, it's the third day on the road we've seen it. And when you get into this point in a 3-week tour, the men who get into the breakaway are a long ways down in general classification, and you would expect them to be allowed a huge advantage, and then they would go on to contest for the stage win, and the general classification men would have their fight 8-10 minutes behind on the final climb. And it's not been the case. It's not the case today. We can see here this gap is coming down with 26.9 kilometers to go. Will it be enough for the men out front? Is a strong group. There's a lot of very good riders, as you have just mentioned. You know, Ulysses being up there, and many others who are capable of doing something on this final climb. But we'll have to wait and see how much they will conserve of their advantage as we go to the climb to the Angliru, because you would need, I think, 3.5 minutes certainly, because to hold on out there with any less than that, it would seem difficult for me.
Me too. Kirienka, he's a scary man. Iron Man 3 is out at the moment. I think they should just stick his face on the poster. Madam, there's a whole load of cyclists coming up behind you, and you better get off the road. She does so, thank heaven. Here we are. Here's El Cordal. And you can see as well that Nicolas Ede is trying to marshal more points for that polka dot. We'll be back in a moment.
It's fast.
Oh, he's got him in.
It's furious.
Oh, there, slower delivery.
What a ripper.
It's 2020.
This is showtime.
The most prestigious competition in club cricket is back as India once again plays host to the Champions League.
Got him. Oh, beautifully done.
The T20 Champions League, Tuesday from 11:20 a.m. live on British Eurosport 2 HD.
Every kick, every try, every goal, every celebration. BT Sport, free with BT Broadband. And now the UK's most popular broadband is £10 a month for new customers. You can watch BT Sport for free on your TV via the Sky Digital Satellite platform and online. By adding BT Sport HD, you can also catch every kick, try and touch in high definition. BT Sport has arrived. Call us today on 0800 500 289 or visit bt.com/free sport.
Buy the award-winning new Seat Leon and get full LED headlights, navigation system and DAB digital radio free of charge.
Seat.
Yokohama, your tire.
Welcome back. Just look at Katusha putting on the hurt. This man, Tirilongo, has decided that he's going to just nudge out of the breakaway group, which now numbers 26 riders, and it looks like Kirienka is the nearest man to him. He did have a few moments ago Elisson from Francis de Jeux, but no longer the case. We saw that this little push on this penultimate climb was animated, or at least instigated, by Nicolas Ede, who's wearing the polka dots. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back to the fore out of that group before you know it. 5 minutes 35. Now, there is a chance of rain, we are hearing. It's due full-on rain at 6:30 on the Langliru, but in this part of the world, it's renowned as one of our traffic people comes through. There we are. Looks like he was rather anxious. I don't know if something needs clearing out there. The roads have been remarkably clear of parked car traffic. We haven't had any dog incident this year either. Everything's been on leashes. We will, of course, have the mountain gorillas playing their part on the Angliru. I wouldn't be surprised if the Cordal has quite a few as well. At the end of today, it will get a bit busy in terms of nutty fans, and we just hope that they keep themselves safe. 25.2 kilometres to go. That means that we have 1,500 metres before we officially start the climb today of the Cordal. As you can see, the road is creeping up, so it's a bit of a leg sapper, and the pace that's being put on up front by Katusha has thinned things down a little bit, squeezed, I think you might say, and putting the hurt on some. You saw Nicholas Hart there, struggling in the back for Argus Shimano. Is the man at the head of the race at the moment, or at least today's stage. And it is Tirilongo that is going out. Now, Tirilongo could go all the way. He's that kind of guy. And the pace that's being put on by the chasers, that time back to Tirilongo, let's not forget. So there is a number of intermediate riders that they will hope to hoover up. He's a pretty decent climber. He's a very good descender as well. He may well be a satellite rider out there, of course, for Vincenzo Nibali. Now, Sean, if Nibali is going to attack today, where's he going to do it?
Well, that is the question. First of all, the descents. We know that Nibali, he's capable of doing something on the descent, and we can see the weather. It's changing a bit of cloud hanging about there. Forecast, there could be rain coming in on the top of the Angaroo on the climb at 6 o'clock local time. So if it comes in a bit earlier, well, then we could have it on this descent, the penultimate climb of the day, Alto del Cordal, and if that is the case, well, you know, Nibali, you never know what he could try on that descent. It's not a very long descent, but still, if it's wet conditions, it could be, you know, an opportunity for him to try and, you know, cause problems and put Horner under difficulty before the final climb of the day.
Horner just out of position momentarily, just zooms around the outside as if to say, yeah, I'm still here, and I look like I'm using a motor. Unbelievable. There he is. Chris Horner, approaching 42 years of age and at the forefront of everything at the moment. Driving wise, he's 3 seconds clear of Vincenzo Nibali. He is 1 minute and 6 seconds clear of Alejandro Valverde, who leads the points classification. And he is 1 minute and 57 clear of Joaquim Rodriguez. Nicholas Roche is at 3 minutes and 49 in 5th place. In 6th place is Domenico Pozzovivo at 6 minutes down. So Nicholas Roche looks like he's heading for a top 5. He's got a stage win, don't forget. And Nicholas saying it would have been nice to have had a chance at the green jersey, but after yesterday he said he got the strategy just a little bit wrong, and as a result he's kind of counted himself out of that competition. So Alejandro Valverde of Movistar looks like it might well belong to him. He's kind of here alone at the moment. He's just tracking Katusha and letting them do all the hard work. So he's let his men off the leash up front. Emanuel Irviti and Bena Inchausti are up there. And look at Chris Horner just marking everybody at the moment. He's got such good legs at this stage of the season, and it's something, Sean, that we never thought would happen, especially with 5.5 months off. Unbelievable.
Yes, he's an unbelievable runner for him, and sometimes, you know, it can work out for a rider. You have forced to take time off, and that was the case for Horner, and it's showing the reserves. You know, he's got certainly, but sometimes when you take a long time off, you know, to get back into the racing rhythm again, to find that it takes a long time. Sometimes, you know, you never find it in that same season. You have to wait for another season before you do it. And but if you do find it, as Horner has done in this race, well then, you know, he has certainly the reserves left. He's a fresh man, and he's showing that in the last number of days. And that's where I think the other riders, Nibali, you know, he had a difficult Giro this year, then had a good rest period, and I was expecting him, with the time between Giro, quite a lot of rest time, came back, started in the Tour of Poland, wasn't in great shape, but been coming really good and looks so impressive here. As for Rodriguez, Valverde, they've all done the Tour of France as well, so I think Horner, that is the advantage there, having the time off. If you can get back into that race level fitness, and he has done that, and he is shown to be the freshest in the last 2-3 days of this race.
A lot of strugglers, a lot of riders really rocking and rolling at the moment. It's these are 10 and 11% ramps. Tirolongo, incidentally, is just about to hit 12, a little bit more than 12% in a few moments' time. That comes just around about 1,500 meters from the top, so we're almost exactly there. This one peaks out at 21.3, so a little bit longer to go before he's actually in the hurt zone, about a kilometer left. These guys, well, don't bother looking for an odd-coloured jersey for Vincenzo Nibali. He is not leading any class at the moment, and he's not, despite the fact that Chris Horner is leading 2 class categorizations, the red jersey general classification and of course the general combined. But it's Nicholas Roche that's wearing the combined jersey today, so Roche is in a white jersey, so watch out for that. He's found his guns again as Kenny Elizondo, and he's come back into this with Tirolongo. I expect that we might see Ede just being allowed to lead out the rest of the breakers, provided that they haven't gone into full battle mode. You do want to be in a decent place when you crest this, because the downhill will introduce you to the final climb of the day. And over or around they come. They have, let me just see, 2 kilometers to go, and the most difficult part is just about to happen. We're on a little sub-ramp, and they'll be onto it before you know it. Steeper than the incline that these guys are dealing with, which is around 11% before they hit that ramp. Sean, they've put plenty of hurt into this year's Vuelta. They said it was going to be a Vuelta for climbers. scared off a lot of sprinters. We had just a handful coming along. Those that have actually managed to survive will have some fun in Madrid, perhaps tomorrow. But it makes you wonder that if the gaps are extremely narrow at the end of today, we could have a full-on race. It will not be a parade and then open up for the sprinters to have their fun tomorrow. Everybody could be involved.
Well, yes, we could have a situation on the top of the rankings, the overall rankings, that it could be still tight, but you just never know what's going to happen in Angliru, because it just has thrown up some, major surprises, and we could see, huge gaps between all the men in the top of the general classification. On the other side, we could see some of them very close at the end of today's stage, and the top 5, they could be just a tiny number of seconds between them. In that case, we might see having a little bit of a go for the intermediate sprints. I don't think in the finish itself, anybody who's up there in the general classification, they have no chance in the big bunch sprint, which will be in Madrid tomorrow. It always has been, and it's highly unrare that we would see a breakaway succeeding and going on to contest for the stage victory. So yeah, we could see a little battle there tomorrow, but it's amazing, this race, when you look at all the climbs we have been through, the difficult days, and it's still so tight at the top of the general classification, like 3 seconds, for second place to Nibali down on Horner. You look at Rodriguez to Valverde, it's 51 seconds, and on the Angliru, 51 seconds. If you get into difficulty, Rodriguez could take that very, very quickly if Valverde starts to struggle. And Nicholas Roach, for example, on Valverde, he's a bit more, he has 2:43 to make up. But again, if a rider gets into difficulties on an off day, you can lose 2.5, 3 minutes so quickly on this one.
You certainly can. In fact, as we said, you could lose all of the gap that the break currently have in that short 12.8 kilometers to the line that we have to deal with. So 1 kilometer from the top, they are in the hurt zone, the pack. It's eased up just a little bit for the men further ahead of them. But it is not a funny place to be cycling, and I imagine this is not really one for the clubbers. Narrow as it is, clear of traffic, as you can see, but it's a busy old road, this one as well. And as it enters the cycle, I think you might say, lots of people want to come and look at it. Despite the fact this is only the 6th time we've finished here, it is designed to hurt, and what a pivotal place to have just before our final stage in Madrid. It's Katusha and Radio Shack at the fore at the moment, thinking about Rodriguez, and of course Radio Shack working for Christopher Horner, who's wearing the red jersey. You can see Vincenzo Nibali there with 2 of his teammates. Nibali in his standard Astana pale blue, sky blue jersey at the moment, along with his teammates. You can see just ahead you have Joaquim Rodriguez, then you have Alejandro Valverde with one of his movie star minders alongside him. They've been working so hard for him and doing a great job of it. Eros Kopecky, Jose Herrada maybe with a chance today from that team, but Valverde himself absolutely outstanding. It may well come down to the best 4 just slugging it out on the final climb, and what a scenario that would be. And just to see who's got what left in terms of reserves. Sean was talking a few moments ago about how Chris Horner has certainly looked the freshest. He's got every right to be, because he's had so much time off, I guess. But the heartbreak, I think, will be for Vincenzo Nibali if he is beaten by 3 seconds from securing his 2nd Grand Tour of the year, which would be quite remarkable. Thank you very much, incidentally, for all of your thoughts, your kind thoughts and comments. If you'd like to join the conversation, incidentally, or ask any questions, we might have time for some, but it's going to be fireworks today. Then it's Carlton Kirby, at Carlton Kirby at Twitter. And if you can hashtag Eurosport Cycling as well, the message is short enough to actually contain that little hashtag, it goes to the wider Eurosport family as well. 21.9 kilometers to go, 5 minutes and 20. That gap seems to be holding, Sean, and it may well come to a little bit of advantage being eked out on the descent. As good as Vincenzo Nibali is, how good are his teammates? Because he's going to need them at the end today.
Well, he will need him leading on to the final climb, and we can see there that Nibali is just sitting there and just following Tanel Kangert is the one who is with him, and he's the man who will be with him, in the to the very final moments of the climb. But how final will it be? Will he be able to stay there for a number of kilometres? That is the question, and that is going to be the problem today for the general classification men. Difficult if they really go at it fast in the first number of kilometres on the final climb. Well, then it will start to pull out, and there'll be riders scattered everywhere because of the gradient of the climb. So your teammates get you onto the climb, and then after that you have to just make your own way up the climb, follow the men that you have to follow if you can do that, and see what happens. But it is at the moment we can see it's the team of Escatel who has been riding for a long time, but now they have disappeared. It's Katusha who are pushing on, and of course we know why, because if you can get into a position with Joaquim Rodriguez where the stage victory is up for grabs, he can go for that, but also the general classification, he can get onto the top 3 places on the podium certainly. So they are pushing on, and then out front we see here Astana. What is the tactic here? Because Tialongo is really pushing on. He wants to stay out in front. Does he think he can get the stage victory, or is there a tactic with it and Astana where they're going to try something with Nibali a bit further up the road?
Oh, well, we're going to find out. Well, we've got just one commercial break remaining to be taken. We'll take that on the downhill as after we've crested here, just see if anyone else puts something in. We'll then keep an eye on the downhill, and then we'll be free of ads until the very end today. And now a man who's expected to shine very brightly in this Vuelta, not quite as brightly as we'd hoped. Rigoberto Urán as well, a big disappointment for Sky. Kirienka, a superstar, I think you might say, after taking that amazing victory into Cabarga. And here we are at the crest right now, and Tiralongo looks fresh, Sean.
Yes, looks good. He's pushing on here. We could see that he took a bottle from one of the team helpers there, but we looked at it very quickly and just threw it away. Didn't want to. So it wasn't the drink he was expecting to get, but he is pushing on here, and he has been the one who has been aggressive and pushing on out of this big group of riders.
The clock is counting back to everybody else. Take on your sustenance when you need it. Chris Horner's ordered a Coke. There are other fizzy drinks available, even of the cola variety. There you are. So that's his choice for the day. Sticks it in the back, give himself a little bit of a treat. It's amazing how there are all these isotonic drinks out there, various designs, and quite often you see just standard water, or indeed just your favorite kind of soda being offered up and taken. It's just about hydration and how well you're going. Isotonic drinks do have their place, however. 20.6 to go. So the clock's rolling back on these guys. Still over 5 minutes of climbing for them to take part in right now. Just a little bit less than that, I guess. And there is Horner and his amazing wingman. Robert Kieselowski, the Croatian champion. There he is, having a little gel bar himself. Yes, it's not about you, my friend, it's about these guys. Here we go then. Thinning down just a little bit, and unfortunately Nicholas Roach, who I noticed is unzipped, showing his bare torso. He's a big man as well to be getting over these crests. He was nursing the King of the Mountains jersey as well, let's not forget, earlier on. I think he's been in just about every jersey, not necessarily his by ownership, or by right I should say, but he's been such an amazing part of this this Vuelta. And yeah, Nico Roche taking that second stage, and it was just an absolute joy to see him in a red jersey, and indeed as a stage winner. 10% and worse is what they're dealing with now, and still Horner, he's just happy to bounce towards the front. He's got his man with him. In fact, he's got other help as well. Look at the clouds that are starting to billow. We've got sunshine, no rain just yet, but we're heading into darkness, and it will be a very dark place for some of these guys. 39 kilometers an hour. Well, it's quite a technical descent, as you can see. And just swapping duties. Go on, after you, says Elisond, the little man. Elisond not offering up a great deal of wind resistance or assistance, it seems, to Tiralongo, but he's not begging for anything. 18.9 to go. I wonder if Tirolongo has got some designs on Glory, and has he got the firepower to do it on his own? This is his problem. The pack, and also the fact that he's going to have to work for Vincenzo Nibali if he is called on at all. Nicholas Roche, you saw, Sean, he's unzipped on a cool day. He'll be running hot today, and wondering perhaps what might have been, I think.
Yes, well, some guys, I think, if they're unzipping at this point, because the temperature, I know, on the top here of the angle route, 18 degrees, so it's not majorly warm. But he's not the only one. We can see, you know, the rider from Cacarual there, Garcia also with his zip pretty much open all the way down. But we can see here some of the riders are still, you know, pretty much well zipped up. But it doesn't mean an awful lot, I think, at this point. But we can see here that you know, for the moment, the pace is after slowing down quite a lot on the front of this group of favourites. Escatel were really pushing on. Then we had Katusha, who with Caruso, who was pushing on quite a strong pace, and he did a lot of damage because he blew this group apart. And as we can see now, we have 25, maybe 30 riders here, and out front, you know, the Astana man is very eager to push on here. Tirolongo. Maybe they've decided in Astana that Nibali, he just hasn't got enough in the tank to do anything this one. He's just going to try and cling on there and stay in as much as possible and lose the least amount of time. And possibly the tactic is to have a go for a stage victory with Tirolongo.
Elisson double checking. He's a different body weight and takes a different attitude into the corner than Tirolongo. Tirolongo just watching the motorcycle out front. He's helping them in a way. I know it's a different line for a heavy machine such as that, but Tirolongo's out there. I think Tirolongo might be a bit of insurance, and you might see Nibali attacking on this descent and then just bridging over to Tirolongo. He's got a man with him as well, so you might see Nibali just guiding his man down if he goes for it, then hooking up with Tirolongo on the final climb. Well, these are all scenarios that remain just that at the moment. Reality will reveal itself to us when these guys get over the peak. But as you can see, Vincenzo Nibali is up there, and they're starting to push on. Of course they are. Is it about neutralising Nibali? Is it about doing their own thing for a stage victory on this day? Final drinks time then as they go over the top. There'll be no time at all for any other sustenance. I did wonder about Tirolongo having a look at a bottle. I'd have thought any drink would have been better than no drink at all, but there you go. There are the clouds that they're heading towards, and this is our descent. Now, we're going to keep tabs on this descent for you. And then we will be clear of commercial breaks heading up to the peak, the top of the Langlirou. It's going to be fabulous. Back in a moment.
If you're losing your hair, you want facts, not sympathy. You want to know if there's anything you can really do about it. Most men's hair loss is hereditary. Regain's scientifically proven foam helps to stop hair loss and even start regrowing hair. Regain. Facts, not fiction.
Out of the depths it comes, swirling and surging, before at last it settles. Created like no other. Guinness.
A low price usually means there's limits to what you get. Well, not anymore. PlusNet are making a stand. Right now, you can get PlusNet unlimited broadband from just $2.99 a month when you take line rental. Now that's a deal. So, get unlimited broadband from $2.99 a month. Now that's how you do unlimited. Be quick, get unlimited broadband from just $2.99 a month. Go online or call 0800 313 4444 now. PlusNet will do you proud.
Rain to shine. The pace stay on my mind. Stash low on the beats every day. Trying. I'm on the comeback like a surgery. 300 shows on the road could murder me. Beat falling off, no, that ain't occurred to me. Down in the depths, how it seems to serve BA. Believe that I'm a go.
Nissan believes technology turns a drive into a ride. Nissan Duke with Google Center Car.
Yokohama, your tire.
Welcome back. Everyone's safe, but believe me, we've had a big moment. Elisond is not the best descender, and yes, he is at the front at the moment. He decided to take a rather unusual line, a bit of a speedway line, shall I put it that way, taking Tirolongo to the barriers. The camera bike got so worried, they stopped filming. I think they were busy trying to avoid getting into the riders themselves. Anyway, their hostilities have just come to a close. They're still on their bikes, and but yes, no words have been spoken. They're both in shock. They got away with it. 13.1 kilometers. It is very, very pacey coming down this very technical, nasty little descent. It's muddy in places as well. And Tirolongo has just gone by Elisond. I don't think Elisond is going to try and overtake him again. I hope not, anyway, because he's not the best descender, is Kenny Elisond in the dark blue here of Francis de Jure. Hello, and there you go. That is proof positive at just how much practice he's going to have to put into descending, Sean. At least he's got belief, even if it's misguided.
Yes, well, he was descending, you know, very dangerous. Following Tirolongo there, he didn't look comfortable at all. He was looking around as well. You know, on a descent, you don't have to do that at this point. And luckily, they're into this section now where, you know, there's not an awful lot much more descending left. So there's not anything left really. So he's okay, but. We can see here there's a lot of action back in the big group of favourites, as we see Sammy Sanchez really pushing on here, and they're descending at a very, very fast rate here at the moment back in the group of big favourites.
How's that for confidence? Sammy Sanchez takes a really, really fast curve, and he's busy feeding himself within it. One hand on the handlebars. This is a man who believes in his abilities.
Taking a gel, riding away from the rest of the group of the rest of the riders there, and going at 65 kilometers per hour with very, very technical corners. And have your gel while you're doing that. It is a talent that the guy has got.
It certainly is. There we are. So up the road is Tirolongo. Now you just saw Vincenzo Nibali as well descending extremely well just behind Samuel Sanchez, and the look over the shoulder tells you all you need to know by Tirolongo. They've already bounced into the final climb of today. They're on it. It's 12.8 kilometers in length, so as they've got 12.3 remaining, you can see that they're 500 meters already into it. About 7.5% at the moment. It's about to become 8, then 9, little ramp, and 21, 14, 14, 21, 23. It gets nightmarish. You wait and see. 66 kilometers an hour. He's finished feeding. Goodness only knows what his dining room looks like. It's probably on an angle, but he's quite happy. Just under 5 minutes down. Quite an amazing level of comfort within the descent, Sean.
He must be able to do many things in his dining room when he can do that on the bike going at 65, 66 kilometers per hour. As we can see here again, a lot of the riders, you know, haven't corrected a little bit. This is, you know, it's a difficult descent, and Sammy Sanchez, maybe he's thinking of doing something on this stage today. You know, Escatel, they have done a lot of pushing on quite a long ways back into this stage, but it looks like that, you know, the advantage out front, 4:56 at the moment. For our two leaders up front, we have riders in between, of course, so it is quite an advantage. But on this climb, you just never know what the riders are capable of doing out front. How strong, how much more have they left? There's by no means, there's no guarantee they're going to go on and go for the stage victory here, but it is a very big, comfortable advantage they have at the moment.
11.7 kilometers to go, still 4 minutes and 56. Beginning to believe, Sean, that the majority of the breakaway group, who are still in front of the peloton, incidentally, over 20 riders, may well make up. We may well find our day's winner today. I'm wondering whether Vincenzo Nibali, we'll find out, of course, fairly shortly, whether he's just going to accept second place on this year's Vuelta. After all, taking the Giro, runner-up on the Vuelta, that would be something. He's not. Is he really going to burn himself? Is he really going to take the chance? Because chance it will be that he tries. It will be a game of chance as well if he tries to outgun the men who are around him.
Well, I think everybody's going to burn themselves a little bit today, because on this climb you have to, you know, go so deep. It's such a severe climb. The percentage there is so great that you're going to really dig into, you know, the reserves, and you know, you're going to push yourself to the limit. It all depends how good your, you know, how great your limit is and your fitness level. It seems like Nibali is just getting weaker as this race go on, so maybe they've decided, and that's the reason we see 3 from Astana in this breakaway of 31 riders earlier on today. Nibali, you know, he's going to go to the climb and see what way he's feeling, see what the others are capable of doing and follow, and then it's a case of, you know, making the calculation. If Horner, you know, really attacks earlier, rides on earlier, some of the other guys, well, then you have to make the calculation, am I able to follow? Or if I'm too much in the red, going towards the red zone, you have to knock it off a bit and start limiting a bit, and then just keep on working at it and limit your losses. And maybe for Nibali to hold on to be second place on the podium, that could be his objective within the team this morning. Maybe that's what they decided, and that's the reason we see 3 men up in the breakaway and have a go for stage victory.
Big names all locked together right here. There is Chris Horner, who leads Vincenzo Nibali, who's right next to him, or just behind him I should say, by 3 seconds. Then we have Alejandro Valverde in the green jersey with a Movistar teammate. Joaquim Rodriguez is there, Sammy Sanchez is there. It's now or never. This is where the hurt really starts to pile on, and they're finding a few out. That's the Czech champion Jan Barter, who was a little bit ahead, who's about to be caught. 10.9 kilometers, and all of a sudden the pace just seems to go up bizarrely as you hit the opening ramps. That's not unusual, Sean.
No, it's not unusual. I think its descent also has caused a lot of problems here. You know, we can see there's a number of riders trying to get back in. Daniel Moreno, they are trying to come across to the group of big favourites here, which is what, 3, 6, 9 or 10 riders, and many more coming across. But I think it's the descent that done the damage there. You know, we see Sammy Sanchez, you know, pushing on at a very fast rate, Grifko trying to follow, and that's caused a lot of problems. And if you're in a little bit of difficulty on the climb itself, you lose a little bit on the descent, try and get back in here at the very beginning of the climb, it's going to hurt big time further up.
Koenig just sailing by. I think Jan Barter had a pretty hot descent, but the climb isn't suiting him. But Koenig, what a great ride by him and Team NetApp Endura, punching well above their weight. He's 7th at the moment, looking like a solid top 10 for him. It's about the victory though, and it's about Chris Horner and what can Vincenzo Nibali do. I'm actually even wondering whether Nibali can hold on to a podium today, after we just started to see some of his fragility, and today is going to be a massive test for him. Last drink time for Kizilowski, the Croatian, who's working for Chris Horner. Kizilowski taking a toke on something sweet right now. Will it be a sweet victory for that man though? Chris Horner, just on the right hand side of your screen as the camera dances around, just almost equally matching the agility of Alejandro Valverde in the green jersey as well, as we approach the peak, the absolute pivot of this year's Vuelta. 10.4 to go. Thanks for all of your comments, by the way. Philip Robinson saying, thought last year's Vuelta was the best tour I'd ever seen. This year, just as good. What is it about the Vuelta? Well, we were saying exactly the same thing, Phil, to ourselves last night. It has been a fantastic race. They seem to have got the balance absolutely right in terms of the test that they throw up. And it has been entertainment royale, has it not?
Yes, it sure has been entertainment, you know, right from day one, and it just continued and continued. And you know, I was expecting days there where we would get a breakaway allowed to take 6 or 7 minutes, and the peloton would just sit back and leave them hang out there, and they'd go on and contest the stage victory. And those stages can get boring. You can have, you know, 60, 80 kilometres there and nothing happening at all. You have that 5-7 man breakaway just riding up front, but they just, you know, were riding after the breakaway so much and pulling it back, and would they catch it? And there was so much suspense. And then, of course, all the little mountaintop finish we had in the earlier part, then the big mountain day. So it's 3 weeks of just exciting everyday racing.
Amazing. 10 kilometres to go. That's for the men in the break. You're looking at them right. Well, you were looking at them a little while ago. There, just backing in, was Nicholas Ede, which foxed me momentarily. Katusha just driving it on. Out front, Ede taking the 2 first categorised climbs today. And so comforting his position, as the French like to say, at the top of the King of the Mountains competition. It looks like it may well be his. We've got this duo out front. We have a number of intermediate riders who are part of the break, just like Nicholas Ede was. He's now backed into the pack. In fact, the last call, there was only about 25 seconds between the breakers and the pack, and I think most of them will have been reabsorbed by now. 9.8 kilometres to go. We haven't had a long shot of those on the road. Look like JC at the side of the road there, erstwhile German colleague. From the Tour de France. This is the Tour of Spain, the 68th running of it, and 9.7 kilometres is all that's left. And what will be left of the challenge of some of the big guys? Well, this is the zone where we find out. Ilgo Anto suffering a bit more than I thought, Sean.
Yes, and we see the Escatel. They have done a lot of pulling and a lot of drafting work on the front of the peloton a long time today, and you know, he's probably one of the ones who's starting to pay for that effort. But they still have, you know, riders up here. They have 2 in this leading group of big favourites, and we can see Sammy Sanchez is up there, and then we can see Nieve still in there, but we can see that, you know, Anton is going to battle on because the team classification is so important, and they have been riding for that over the last 3 days. But we can see here 9.5 to go, just over 4 minutes as Scarponi start to lose distance, and it's Katusha, Daniel Moreno, who's pushing on the hurt here, pushing it up the pace, and riders starting to lose contact one by one.
Well, they'll be going 2 by 2s before you know it, and well, let's hope we're not floating an arc today, because there is rain in the area, we are hearing. I don't want to add to your worriment, but certainly it would be worrying for Chris Horner if the rains do come, because he's a very explosive kind of rider, and getting the power down on wet, skittery conditions is difficult. You need a rhythm, and you need to be able to set it over a long distance. Vincenzo Nibali can do that, but I think he needs rain now, Sean, not in half an hour.
Well, I think it's going to be difficult for everybody if you get rain. The best thing would be that you'd have 2-wheel drive instead of one, because on the real steep gradient, when it does get wet, traction is going to be a problem for the riders. Some riders can, you know, ride a bit better, but I think if we see the wet road, it's going to be a problem for everybody. But then the cars are going to be major problems for everybody getting up here. For the moment, it looks like it's holding off, and, you know, we're getting inside. Yeah, it's 9 kilometres to go at the moment, and hopefully it does hold off, because I think it could cause just major problems for some of the riders.
Well, as we said, these guys are still 4 minutes in arrears, 9 kilometres to go. Have you got any belief that this break can make it, Sean? Is that enough time on this kind of test?
I think with the riders you have up front, Tira Longo, he's certainly, you know, a real good climber as he goes through the 9 kilometres to go. And then, you know, the little French man here, Elisund, I think he is quite a good climber as well. Looks to be comfortable on the climb itself, looking in more difficulty on the descent than he is on the climb. And with the advantage at the moment, just under the 4 minutes, they should be able to hold on. The other thing, and we haven't seen anybody in between, but there has to be riders in between, how far off they are at the moment. We're not getting any time checks on those riders, so we could see somebody coming up to the 2 leaders we have on the road. But again, it depends. At the moment, we see Moreno leading through the 10k to go for the main group of big favourites. If they start attacking earlier on, that little bit under 4 minutes could come down so rapidly.
Moreno capable of reaching out for something himself, but he'll be working today for Joaquin Rodriguez. Moreno, of course, having taken 2 stages, stages 4 and 9 of this great race. Incidentally, Elizondo up front, 8th in the GC in the Tour of Oman. He's only 22 years of age, and he took a stage in the Paris-Corrèze as well last year. So, you know, he's pretty handy. He was just outside the top 10 in the Tour Down Under as well. Now, Oman really was built for climbers. They've got some lovely mountains up there, which suggests that if you can just polish up his descending, he'll do a great job. Youth classification, the Tour de Lane as well. So, yeah, he's here by rights out front. You see Santa Romita as well, the Italian champion from BMC, one of the intermediate riders that are likely to be caught, I should think, within the next few kilometres. But Tiralongo, now you're really talking about somebody who many were speaking up at the start of the day as a potential stage winner. I know the boys at Sea Cycling as well, a great mine of information, by the way, if you ever check them out. It's a very good website as well. Yes, Paro Tiralongo, they were expecting him to be one of the day's favourites. Whether he'd been allowed to get in the break or not is something else. Well, he did get there, and right now he's leading up the mountain. A couple of stages in the Giro d'Italia for Tiralongo. Didn't get one this year, but 2 previous years he did. And he's a good time trialist as well in his own right, so he can sort of set his own tempo, and that's exactly what you need on a day such as this. There goes Kangert, one of the helpers. .2 kilometres. Well, they put a lot of hurt on themselves right at the very beginning, Astana, to actually get in a good place. Strangely, that's the team time trial I was just going to say. Strangely, Chris Horner saying one of the hardest things he's ever done, forget all the climbs, was the team time trial, trying to keep up with Fabian Cancellara, who absolutely cracked the whip over them. Well, it teed them up for this, didn't it, Sean?
Yes, and not surprising that you have difficult with Cancellara. On a flat, straight, dead straight road, it'd be difficult to stay in his wheel, but you throw in a little bit of technical stuff, and we know the way Fabian can go around those corners. We've seen him many times, and of course for Horner, he would not be, you know, that a great bike handler as Cancellara, so you're going to have difficulty. In team time trial, as always, you know, you're a little bit concerned about the riders in front of you not getting right into the corner, but yes, it has meant a lot, and we see the work that Cancellara done before he just quit this race. He was a huge asset to the yellow jersey and to the red jersey, sorry, but we can see here at the moment, you know, the gap is coming down very quickly. We can see it's just coming to 3 minutes now. It was 4 minutes, but with Moreno pushing on there, and he's doing over 21 kilometers per hour. And I reckon at the section at the moment it has to be about 7-8%, and that is a very fast rate. So if this keeps coming down with 7.5 to go for our 2 leaders, we could see some of the men out of the group of favourites here coming across and going for stage victory, and it depends on how long Moreno can continue on and when these guys start attacking each other.
A fresh metallic kind of smell suggests that there is rain locally. Let's see how they manage if it does come down. We're kind of running out of time for that to be of an impact. Valverde accepts a soda. That's how they stand right now. Nicholas Roche is here, and he's doing a great job of staying in touch just behind Vincenzo Nibali at the moment. He's wearing the white combined jersey. He's nursing that on behalf of Chris Horner, who actually leads that competition. Nicholas Roche is second in that, but he's second to nobody in terms of effort that he's putting in today. He's a big man, Nicholas Roche. I know he's lost a lot of weight, and it's done him all kinds of favours. And of course, he's taken a stage victory here and looked amazing. And still, he's staying with these guys.
Yes, we can see that from Team Saxo. Roche is very much there, but also he's a teammate, Rafa Maika. The interesting one is Christopher Horner hasn't got a teammate with him here. Kieselowski has lost ground there on this group quite a time ago. So that is a little concerning if you have a mechanical problem, because now the team cars, there's nobody in between. You have the neutral Cerberus car, of course, and then you will have, yes, the cars coming through. As we can see here, this group, actually the car is also being allowed to come through. We can see the Radio Shack car here behind this group of big favourites, so that will be a little bit of I suppose for Horner, it will, calm the situation, because you're always concerned that you get a flat if you haven't got a teammate on a climb like this, if the cars are not allowed to buy quickly. But we can see all the team cars are here at the moment.
Well, a few moments ago they were calling some motorcycles through, and it was difficult for them to actually get by because it is a very narrow road. And just look at the flaring of the lights, it shows you how dark it is. And just look at the road surface as well. There's moisture in the air. It's almost like laying down a gentle carpet of mist. That's exactly what we've got right now. It's not rain, however. There we are. There are our leaders. They have 2 minutes and 50. The men who are up the road today have a 2 minutes and 50 over Chris Horner and this select group, which includes Rodriguez, Valverde, Nibali, Roche and the rest. 2 minutes and 50, Sean. They might well just get across. Tirolonga, though, could actually reach out for a stage victory. Astana have not had a stage victory because they've been so busy looking after Vincenzo Nibali. 17%, that's got to hurt. Well, there's worse to come, Sean.
Yes, there is worse to come, and it's starting to kick up big time here. 17%. We can see there's some riders not too far off the two leaders on the road. We can see Hakarual rider, I reckon it's David Arroyo, and he was in that original breakaway of 31 earlier on the day. And there's a lot of riders in between. We could see 18 seconds, I think, was the advantage for our two leaders, with some riders starting to close up. But I think the big concern is here now at the moment, with still 6.4 kilometers to go. This advantage is coming down very quickly, and if Joaquim Rodriguez goes in the attack early, he starts to push on, well, then it will come down rapid.
Certainly will. Domenico Pozzovivo here, just sniffing, thinking maybe if somebody cracks amongst the main contenders, he has a chance of actually just taking that extra step forward. He's keeping Nicholas Roche on his toes. And here we go. Time for Nibali to roll the dice. And he's kicked off. Now, who can follow him? No response, just for the time being, from Chris Horner. Now, don't forget, there's only a 3-second gap between. Now, will it be Rodriguez that just powers on and helps Horner bridge the gap? Sean, this is a mighty roll of the dice. 6.2 to go. He's on his own, but crucially, he's got Tirolongo ahead of him.
Yes, he's got Tirolongo, but he's other riders in between as well. We must remember that Fuglsang was up there and the earlier breakaway, so there's other riders in between here, and we can see he's picking up Fletcher here and a lot of the men who were in the original breakaway of the day. The interesting one is Horner's not reacting, but has he still got enough left in the tank that he can allow Nibali just to ride off, because still over 6 kilometers to go. It's a long ways, but it's going to be an interesting one with Astana. They have some riders in between all the time, and of course Tirolongo is out in front.
Very much so. Well, we suggested it might well be insurance up the road, but we were dwelling on Vincenzo Nibali's fragility. Now, is this his is he actually faking right now? Has he got what it takes to make it all the way? For the time being, nobody's panicking behind him, though, Sean. They believe that they've still got what it takes to get back at him.
Yes, well, it will be an interesting one. There has to be some of the other big favourites here who has, got something left, and we can see Nicholas Roche starting to get in difficulty there with a teammate, Rafa Mike. So, still with over 6 kilometres to go, the gaps are starting to appear, as we can see Horner just setting the pace in front of Valverde, Joaquim Rodriguez at the moment, and it looks like we're seeing Horner in a little bit of difficulty for the first time in this race.
I think so. He's got no teammates around him. Horner drives on. He's dragging Alejandro Valverde and Joaquim Rodriguez behind him. This is an amazing move by Vincenzo Nibali. Can he make it stick? Right now he's resting. He's resting on the wheel of Juan Antonio Fletcher and decides that now's the time to go. So away he does go. Kenny Elissonde is pushing on as well. It has been, incidentally, a fantastic Vuelta for the French riders. And will Elissonde get glory once more? This man is drifting back. Sorry, this is Nibali, but his man is drifting back to him. Tirolongo. So Elissonde's out there on his own. What has Tirolongo got to offer up to Nibali? Can they come together? Can they deliver something special, Sean?
Well, I think Tirolongo certainly can deliver something special, and we see immediately it looks like Tirolongo probably has almost come to a standstill and left the FDJ rider to go on and continue his efforts. But the other thing is there some of the other riders in between from Astana, but yeah, it's a big tactic movement at the moment.
There is Pozzovivo hoping to take advantage of fading, at least today, Nicolas Roche. There is Chris Horner having to do it all on his own. There's no space for a motorcycle down there, so we're using our helicopter right now, and you can see why. Virtually no space whatsoever, and it's Horner being forced to work, but Nibali is doing an amazing job. Tirolongo waiting up for him to help him over. 21% he's going through right now, and it is an absolute joy to behold, Sean.
Yes, well, you know, what a turnaround from the last 2 days. We see Nibali in difficulty all the times. It went up at the final, and the percentage wasn't anything like it is now. We can see 21%. He's working quite well at it. Horner also, he's just continuing to tap away, and that's what you've got to do here. You know, get into your rhythm. It's now a question who's got a little bit more energy left.
And the chase goes on. This is Chris Horner, all bar a few weeks, 42 years of age of him, and here goes Rodriguez round Alejandro Valverde, bidding for a podium place. He still believes he can get it. This man clearly believes that he can win the whole thing. Can Chris Horner respond? He's getting no help, Sean.
No, I don't think, first of all, Valverde is not capable. He's just trying to hang on here in the slipstream of Horner and Rodriguez. We see Rodriguez, he just slips around Valverde quickly when he starts to see that he's not able to stay in contention with Horner. But it'll be interesting to see, will, you know, Joaquim Rodriguez start pushing on as well, because they all have interest here now with the general classification. Places on the podium are going to start going through their minds.
They're within sight, and look at the cadence being posted here by Chris Horner. Can he possibly bridge back over to Vincenzo Nibali and break the man's heart? We'll find out. Here is Nibali right now, just eating up some of those who were part of the break. I think that's Jerome Coppel who's just been passed now. Oh, and Valverde struggling. There goes Horner with Joaquim Rodriguez. Valverde peddling squares at the moment, and hardly surprising. Nibali, there it is. He has just 7 seconds, so he's within sight. You can see him there amongst the motorcycles. Oh, this is amazing, Sean. It could well be, if things hold almost at the same pattern as they've got at the moment, that we go into the final stage tomorrow with less than a handful of seconds between the leaders. Amazing.
Yes, well, it's an amazing at the moment. We can see, you know, everybody's struggling, but still 5.2 kilometers to go, and the percentage, the real difficult section has to come, and it's, you know, it's really a killer all the way. And now we can see it's a battle, man against man, Nibali against Horner at the moment, and Horner is working away quite well at it, clawing his way back, you know, inch by inch. He's closing down on Nibali, and you know, will he be able to, you know, take him back fully? There is certainly time left, because with 5 kilometers plus on a climb like this, there's a lot of time left in this stage.
There we are. Nibali back to Valverde, 15 seconds. And 7 seconds, it's less than that now. Count a point anywhere you like and just count it back. To my mind, it's about 5 seconds as we stand. Elizondo drives on. Might well be a famous victory for him. We'll see. But our main concern is just behind. And Chris Horner, well, we spoke about his explosive nature when it comes to a climb such as this, and the fact that Vincenzo Nibali is more like a metronome and just piles on the hurt gradually, slowly but surely, almost like turning a screw. Well, here we are. And these are our leaders, essentially. We've got Alejandro Valverde, who's just fading a little bit. He needs to find something else late on. It's a tall order, a very tall order indeed. I wouldn't be surprised if Joaquim Rodriguez suddenly just lights the touch paper and has a go here, because he's the sort of explosive rider that could do exactly that. However, Vincenzo Nibali, I think, has played his hand. Let's see what Chris Horner can do right now. Amazing to see the difference. You see Nibali absolutely solid in his saddle, just churning it, and there is Chris Horner out and very, very animated on the bike, but seems comfortable in that position.
Yes, well, Nibali, he looks like the one is more comfortable. As we can see, Horner is going to push on here.
He's having a go now. Who can follow? Rodriguez tries to respond. It's a change of pace. Not quite a bomb being dropped here by Chris Horner. But there's the response. Nibali shows that he's still got something left in the tank, and you're going to have to work harder than that if you want to take this Vuelta away from me. Well, the man wearing the jersey is Chris Horner, of course. The gap between these two was 3 seconds before yesterday. It's 3 seconds today. They just swapped positions, swapped jerseys, and waiting to pick up the crumbs and maybe just take a big bite out of both of them is Joaquin Rodriguez. Comes over to the other side of the road. They might just let him go, Sean.
No.
And as we hit the barriers, that's exactly the right answer.
I think Joaquin Rodriguez, he had to look about there to see where the other ones were. As we can see, Tirolongo coming back, and it took a long time for Tirolongo. I was expecting him, you know, to put foot down on the road and actually just stop and wait and leave Nibali come up to him before Horner actually managed to get back to Nibali. As we can see here now, there's 2 Astana men, and it's going to be interesting. Tirolongo will push on, but Joaquin Rodriguez, we see him having a look about. I think he's also pretty much on the limit here, but he knows he has to keep on pushing here because the places on the podium are to play for Rodriguez. He can see Valverde is in difficulty, so he has to push on here to try and get onto that top steps of the podium.
Well, was it a mistake that Tirolongo was just too far ahead, didn't wait up properly when Nibali went on that change of momentum? He had a gap. It was around about 11 seconds at the max. That could have helped if he'd had a teammate with him. And look at the conversation going on right now. Tirolongo is saying, are you okay? Can you do this today? Can you do this with me? Do you want me to have a go myself? I could take the stage. It's 1 minute and 51 back to Elizondo, and I've still got the legs. What's happening? He's getting no answers at the moment. Nibali's thinking about it, thinking what to do, and it's all playing into the hands of Kenny Elizondo, the young 22-year-old from Francis Tejeur, and away he's gone. 4.1 kilometres and 1 minute and 53, Sean, of an advantage.
Yes, it is quite a big advantage, but again on this climb it's so difficult to make the calculation because you know, the final 4 kilometres are really difficult, and if he has got the power to keep on working as he has been all the way to the finish, then it looks good. But again, it depends on what they do here, and we can see they're just playing about. Tactic is being played here with Christopher Horner, Nibali, Tirolongo and Joaquin Rodriguez.
Goodness me. So Nibali sits on their wheel, sits on the wheel of Chris Horner at the moment, and he's got a man. And it's a fine man as well. And Fuglsang and Tirolongo, goodness me, a brace of talent. They were both up in the break, both capable of winning in their own right, and they're here to help. But have they left it too late, Sean?
Well, I think tactic not great by Astana there. You know, Fuglsang also, Tirolongo, they should have just actually stopped and waited for Nibali. There was an opportunity there, you know, to allow Nibali to get to them as quickly as possible and, you know, give them that advantage. We can see Nibali is just giving a signal there to push on to Fuglsang, but I was expecting maybe one of them actually to turn around and come back down a bit on the road.
As a trio they go, trying to form a little tiny train, absolutely, Sean, and I think that's their error, and maybe they've just lost the Vuelta in so doing.
Well, I think there is still time to do something, but have they got enough power to do that? 3.7 kilometres for the leader on the road, of course. So these guys are a little bit further off, and we can see now it's Tirolongo who wants to push on. They really have to, you know, push on big time to try and put Horner in difficulty, because he has, you know, got over the worst period when Nibali goes in the attack. To get back to Nibali, that was, you know, the first big step made, and I think that will give him, you know, the confidence that he can hold with Nibali. And that's all you've got to do. Just follow Nibali for the moment and stay in his wheel, because the other ones, I think the time that he has got ahead of the rest in general classification, they should not be concerned about Rodriguez.
3.6 kilometres to go, and this zone is around 14 or 15%. It looks a lot worse than that, does it not? Well, there is still an area of over 21% for poor old Elizondo to take on his own. These are the world's best climbers, don't forget, and you can scrub out what they've done earlier today as well. There's no way that normal human beings would be able to keep up with these guys, even after covering the distance that they've already put into the day, 130 kilometres or so. And 142.2 is the distance today. They've got 4 remaining. And just 600 yards up the road, and you can see that the time gaps. How long does it take? And he's shouting at everybody. He's shouting at his legs. He's shouting. He's cursing. He's got to try and make this. It would be the biggest win of his career for Kenny Elissonde. He's a young man. How many young Frenchmen have started to come to the fore? It's amazing. The revelations go on, but there's one big one we're waiting to find out. So who will it be? Who's going to grasp the nettle? Has Astana got it all wrong in terms of tactics? Valverde has managed to relay back on because they're still kind of thinking about it. Nibali and Fuglsang are the last 2 remaining from Astana right here.
Yes, well, we can see the reason that Valverde get back. There was a little bit of downtime where they started to look at each other. Now Astana has got it organised again. Fuglsang is pushing on. Tirlongo also wants to, you know, keep this pace right high. And the interesting thing is now, with our leader on the road, Elissonde, is there other riders in between? I reckon so. But if not, the time bonifications are going to be so important.
Look at that. 22% at the axis of the corner. Let the man have some air, for goodness sake. We're into the fog. I'm hoping we don't lose pictures towards the end. We've got the motorcycles, they're still relaying well, and the security boys are there and doing a great job as well. A lot of respect being offered up to the riders. We've not seen any sort of interfering hands, thank goodness. Oh, and it's time to have another go. You've got to dig so deep if you want to make this happen, and there's no other choice, Sean, than to go for it with 3 kilometres remaining.
Well, yes, he has to try and, you know, test Horner once again. The teammates have done their job. You know, the boat disappeared, and Nibali is going to try, you know, keep on pushing here. It's a situation now, how many riders are in between, and that's where the concern, I think, for Nibali. He wants to push on, and I reckon there has to be riders in between our leader on the road, Elissonde, and back to the Nibali group. And of course Nibali is making the calculation, if I can catch the other riders and there's bonifications to take, well, then that's where he could win this race. If he can come in with Christopher Horner for the 2nd place and, you know, take that 2nd place, well, then it would be the bonifications will count big time.
Well, they're starting to be interfered with, I'm afraid, by the crowd. Let's just hope it stays clean. The flaring on the lights tells you how dark it is. The retina's on the camera here. It's a virtual darkness that they're riding into. There's heavy cloud around. There's storm clouds gathering for the men in the general classification as they continue to find other riders who've been part of the break. Brave riders they have been as well, but they're being found out on the climb. 21%, it really is a hurt zone, this. Well, the commissaires had called the motorcycles to pass by the riders and get up the road, but they're being used right now as a little foil. Look at that. Nibali hits it once again. Now, can he? Don't forget, he's just got to find 3 seconds here, 4 if he can. And what percent? I do not think so. It's an awful lot worse than that. There we are, that's more like it. And Horner still stays out of the saddle. He could ride with no saddle at all by the looks of things, Chris Horner. He's been dancing on the pedals most of the day, it seems, and Nibali just can't shake it.
No, it's proving difficulty, but again, you have to keep on doing it. You have to keep on trying, keep, you know, attacking. If he comes back in the wheel, up the pace again, and if you've got anything left in the tank, you know, we can see Horner is suffering because he's not immediately in the wheel. There's, you know, a bike length, 2 bike lengths appearing there. Then he comes back slowly, and Nibali can see that, and we will see more attacks coming from him.
It's not going to be Rodriguez surely today, and Valverde likewise. Arroyo, who was part of the breakaway, and Nibali goes once more in the cloud. Oh, it's almost reminiscent of his job on the Giro d'Italia. He doesn't mind inclement weather, and he can't respond. Horner can't respond as they pass by the 3 kilometres to go banner. Nibali, this is your chance. He knows it as well. Chris Horner likewise is on rescue mode at the moment. Well, if he could press get me home, he would do. Goodness me. They're running out of road, Sean, and running out of options. It's now that you've just got to let the legs do the talking and just deliver what you can. Max out.
Yes, well, it's max out, and I think they're all on the max here. As we can see, 23% at the moment. Nibali, you know, he is just digging into the reserves deep. Horner also, we can see there, he's just, you know, clawing his way back up to Nibali as we pick up some of the other riders of the original breakaway. Serge Powell's here, and I think that is the thing. Nibali, he's making these attacks, putting Horner under difficulty. Also, the riders that are in between, he wants to pick up as many of them as possible, and if he can pick up, you know, all of them up to our lead at the front stage, the Joux rider Alex Son, the bonifications are going to be so important here.
They certainly are. He's got to get past Powell's. Every single man is nearer to those time bonuses. Every man he clips off from the escape, and Nibali's going for it. And where is Horner, and what can he do? Well, they're still listed as being together, but they're not quite just for now, and there's no space at all. 22%. It's the toughest part of this climb. The motorcycle's doing the best, the crowd encroaching just behind. We can't see the riders at all. Oh my goodness, they're just behind Valverde and Joaquim Rodriguez into the cloud of their very own. There's probably only 50 meters, but we haven't got that level of visibility. They can't see who's ahead of them. You can't get a visual clock on it, Sean.
No, we can see the photographer here. Graham Watson is getting in our way actually, but Nibali had a little bit of an advantage over Horner. He still has 3-4 bike lengths at the moment, and you know, it's just a huge fight between the two men for the overall classification.
It's mayhem, and the motorcycles are getting involved. So are the fans who just want a piece of their own television history, unfortunately. There's the motorcycle. There is Nibali, and Chris Horner has relayed back to him. It may well be a vital crossing of the line for those guys in terms of bonification. We'll see who's left in front of them. We know Elizondo is there. Valverde and Rodriguez locked together, but unfortunately for them, it's not going to be a stage victory, unfortunately. There's no way round, it seems, Sean. It's virtually impossible to overtake with this crowd.
Well, it's impossible to overtake a rider when you're going through. The crowd is really pushing on, and as we get closer to the finish here, that is going to be the case, because we will rifle the barriers, as we can see here, so that will help a bit. Once it's barriered off, there will be a bit more space for the riders to attack, but we can see, you know, everybody is just on the limit here. Valverde Rodriguez just fighting here to take to stay in contention, to lose the least amount of time possible on Horner and Nibali.
Well, Rodriguez in 4th place, Valverde in 3rd place overall, but they're going to take a hatful here, I'm afraid. It may well be more than 20 seconds, but Valverde determined that he's going to have that podium. 23%, and believe me, this car is in 1st gear and itself is struggling, as are the motorcycles. Put a dab down and just fight to restart the engine of the camera bike. Incredible. We wait on the final twists and turns. There is some respite right at the very last, incidentally, and there goes Chris Horner. He's just managed to get through. How he's done that, I do not know. The camera's lost it, and we're struggling with the helicopter at the moment. Look at this, through what looks like Armageddon. It's Valhalla at the top here. There is Kenny Elizondo heading for, I think, a stage victory. But behind him, the battle between Nibali and Chris Horner is absolutely titanic.
Yes, titanic is the word, and you know, this finish here, Angliru, it's always thrown up some great state finishes, but this is by far the best one we're seeing here, and I think, you know, with 1.8 kilometers to go for our leader on the road, there is going to be more of a battle between the two men, Horner and Nibali. It's going to be, you know, an interesting final here, and it looks like that Elizondo is holding on quite well.
He's doing a great job. In fact, he's going to have a little bit of respite in just a moment's time. With about 600 meters to go, it actually goes downhill, can you believe it? How happy will that be? The crowd getting involved and giving him an extra push. I don't think he's going to complain. You do see some riders actually issuing threats and oaths when that goes on, because it just disturbs the rhythm and the concentration. But to be honest, it is desperate times at the moment. That is Joaquim Rodriguez. Alejandro Valverde looked the strongest of the pair, and I think he's gone off up the road just ahead. But we're stuck with this camera that can't get by the commissaires. And we've lost sight, incidentally, of Nibali and Horner, because that motorcycle stalled on the 23% and couldn't get restarted. This motorcycle is going to try and speed on and pick them out. That is Serge Powell, who was part of the breakaway. Brave effort by him, the Omega man, and away the camera bike goes yet again. Goodness me, it's taken such a toll even on the machinery, the mechanics, I should say. And there is Alejandro Valverde on his lonesome right now, but it's about Nibali and it's about Horner, and we're going to have to race on and try and find them as the motorcycle tries its best to pick its way through the crowd here. Oh, and at long last we get back to the men that we need to know about, and Horner is locked absolutely with Vincenzo Nibali.
Yes, two men still, working the way up the climb here, but they just go through the 2 kilometres to go. 1:17 the advantage to the leader on the road as they pick up some other riders. We can see a rider out in front here. Valverde battling quite well, just keep on working at it, and he's 20-25 metres behind these two men we can see at the moment.
Well, as they go by, the security man on the motorcycle, I think it's actually the cameraman actually, is issuing all kinds of threats to those on the road. They've kind of had their fun, and we're having ours at the moment, looking at Horner and Nibali. As soon as they head for that little downhill section, they'll start to really race each other as well. I've been amazed at what reserves Nibali has had, and as we pick up yet more riders, one of the Team Net-Out men who were in the break, they had Balta and Mendes incidentally up there. It's been a good day for them yet again. Nibali and Horner have 9 seconds only on Valverde, has found a bit more of a drive, and Kaya Roral being picked out here, and unfortunately the security bike just taking out almost the camera, and has Nibali been taken out here as well?
No, I
don't think there was any contact with anybody. He's just gone pop.
Yes, I think he's just getting into difficulty. Horner just started to push on the pressure of it there, and Nibali just not able to follow the pace, being made a little bit too strong for him by Horner. And I think Nibali is paid for all his efforts here.
I think he has. Horner's gone off and decided just to leave everybody else to play, including Vincenzo Nibali. This is Chris Horner reaching out for this crown. How much of a cushion will he have tomorrow into Madrid? Well, we're about to find out. We're also about to welcome yet another Frenchman to victory on a stage here, surely, of the Vuelta. Elisond is up there as those guys reset themselves for their private little run zone. Unfortunately, the fans I'm talking about, but running away right now is that man Horner, and look at him go. 12 seconds now between Horner and Nibali. The transponders are working and keeping us in touch. He's in the herd zone, 21%. Well, who doubted that this man could stretch his legs today? He's done it yet again, Sean.
Yes, he's done it, and he's reacted so well to the attacks of Nibali, not getting into a panic situation, and now Nibali to take a little bit of advantage sometimes, 5-10 bike lengths, and just walking away. And that's the way he can climb. He's a little bit of a steadier climber, not like Nibali. He can put in a big explosive burst and take that advantage. But yeah, he's proven of the big duo battle, he is the strongest one, and now he's going to just put more and more time into Nibali as he goes on to the finish.
Well, as it stands, there'll be a 20-second gap between them as they head for Madrid. Elisond is reaching the crest. The percentages just ease ever so slightly, and he'll have a little downhill ramp to the line, and how pleasant a run will that be? The greatest of his career so far. Only 22 years of age, Elisond, and further down the line, age-wise, almost 20 years away is this man, Chris Horner. That is a remarkable fact, Sean.
Yes, it's an unbelievable, and the performance he has put in this race right through, and more so in the past 4 or 5 days as he goes through the kilometre to go here. Horner just looking so comfortable, but again today when Nibali went in the attack, I was concerned that he was in a little bit of difficulty, but real cool. Did not react immediately, allowed Nibali just to hang out there for time, and now we know the answer. He wasn't in difficulty. He was just playing safe and not reacting too quickly, and he is the strongest man once again on these very, very difficult climbs. 1
minute now between Elisond and Horner. There's your gap, and the line is approaching for Elisond. Here he is. He's into the last few meters. The hoardings will save him from the hordes. Oh, goodness me, what a day, and what a Vuelta it has been for France. Let's not forget that. Bargoye, a great revelation, many talking about him as the next Bernardino. That's for another day. This day, though, oh, what a remarkable. The two major players, 20 years separating them. Phenomenal. And Elisond reaches that peak and now realises exactly what he's done. He tips the glasses up. He doesn't mind the moisture in the eyes. There'll be a bit of that as well, I can tell you. And back at in the homeland of Chris Horner, he pushes on, and it's yet more punishment for Nibali. The gap's actually expanding as we speak. Remarkable. We're just about to hit 4 hours, and you can virtually, I think visibility's down to around 35 meters as we speak. Maybe even less than that. Has anyone got a drink for me, he says? I think he's calling for champagne. Well, this man will buy it in buckets, believe me. And maybe even buy this man a drink as a treat. Who knows? They're the two great battlers today. And this, Sean, is that pleasant little almost country run for home. I think I could keep up on this.
Well, yes, this is the easier part. The only easier part is in this climb of over 12 kilometres. And we can see Eliasson, he's just, you know, he cannot believe it that he's going to take the stage victory as he goes through 150 metres to the finish line.
Shakes his head, 100 metres, 75. He speeds to the biggest win of his career, bursts into tears, fabulous. And now the clock counts back. Here is Horner. What a performance by this man. As we say, 20 years separating the man who's won the stage and the man who quite possibly has just won the Vuelta. 200 metres. This is going to feel like party time, and the grimace turns into a huge grin. And the clock, watch it when he crosses the line, because this is the crucial timings. He gets the bonus as well, don't forget. At 26 seconds, Horner comes across the line. This is about retrieval for Vincenzo Nibali, and he's absolutely powering on right now. Alejandro Valverde is the man with him. It's Nibali that wants the remaining bonuses, don't forget, at the line, and that's what he's racing for right now. 100 metres to go. This is an absolute shootout at the end of hell. Who can believe it? 75 metres to go, but he can't take the bonus, Nibali, he knows that. And Valverde is the crosses the line at 54 seconds. Oh my goodness. And there is Chris Horner. Has he just done it for the old guard?
Yes, well, he has. We can see Nibali coming in there with Valverde, 54 down. You know, it's over at this point because we know tomorrow's stage, it's, you know, just the final run into Madrid. And Nibali, he just, you know, he did everything, tried everything, but Horner was the strongest one at the end in the final number of kilometres.
We believe we're looking at the winner of this Vuelta. What a race. What a guy.
Okay, give me out. Let's go. Let's go.
Joaquin Rodriguez crosses the line a minute and 48 down, a minute and 46, I beg your pardon. Serge Pauwels comes across the line as well. It shows you just what distances can be made at the end. Horner just saying, okay, get me up, get me out of here. It doesn't need two men to carry Chris Horner. You could do it with one hand. Put him in your pocket, take him home, why don't you? The kisses starting to happen. It's dawning on him, Sean.
Yes, well, I think when you get to the finish of this stage, then, you know, you're pretty clear what the classification, the overall classification is going to finish up tomorrow on the final stage. And Christopher Horner won the battle, and what a battle it was between himself and Nibali. Nibali, you know, just threw everything at him and just wasn't able to break Horner, and in the end it was Horner who just had a little bit more left to go on and ride away from Nibali.
Well, that's the end of the cameras for him, just for now anyway. We've almost forgotten already Eliasson, but what a magnificent victory for him. The young man has done it again for France. They've had fun here, Sean.
Yes, well, what a performance by the French riders and by the young riders, you know, another very young rider, and to win here on, you know, this monumental stage. It's like in the Tour de France when you win on Alto, to win on Angliru in the Vuelta. It's, you know, a bigger stage win again, but for him we can see, you know, big emotions as he come over the line.
Good boy. And just compare and contrast. Been there, done that. Well, you really have done it now. Chris Horner looks like he's our champion, Sean.
Yes, well, he is. guaranteed the champion now, although, as they say, you're never the winner until you get over that final line on the final day. But, you know, tomorrow's stage is normally a parade until we get onto the final laps in Madrid, and it's really the sprinters' day, so I don't see anything changing in general classification. When you look at the the stage today, I think Nibali, maybe he was a bit too aggressive earlier on the climb. If he had waited and just made a tempo there and try and claw everybody back and go for the bonifications, there was a possibility there, but he just put in so many huge attacks. He paid for it with 2 kilometres to the finish.
There it is, writ large. Goodness me, 28 seconds between Valverde and Horner. Horner picking up bonuses. And poor old Nibali, same time as Valverde at the line. Well, I was actually looking back while that graphic was on to see where Domenico Pozzovivo was, because the difference between Pozzovivo and Nicholas Roach at the line is going to be crucial, Sean. They were separated by 2 minutes and 11 seconds. Nicholas Roach was doing a great job, but he's a big man. I know he's lost weight this year, but whether Pozzovivo can have stolen that 5th place in the general classification, I guess we're about to find out.
Yes, well, unfortunately we're not getting the riders as they come over the line, but it's going to be an interesting one. We all know the 1st and 2nd place in the overall classification, but the 3rd place on the podium, Valverde, he is going to hold up there. But the question is, Rodriguez, how much of an advantage had he over Nicholas Roach? Or how much Roach, sorry, have to spare over Pozzovivo?
There's your answer. Nicholas Roach has a cushion of 49 seconds over Pozzovivo. Horner's advantage, though, is 37 seconds over Vincenzo Nibali and 1 minute and 36 over Valverde. We have our champion. Chris Horner has won the Vuelta on the toughest climb on one of the most entertaining Grand Tours I've ever seen, Sean.
Yes, it was what a battle on that final climb, and it was something that we were forecasting. It's always a super stage here to this real difficult climb, but that was the best of all times.
Fantastic. Well, I hope you've enjoyed it at home. We've absolutely loved it. It's not over yet, of course. We do have our day in Madrid. We head for the capital. It'll be a day for the sprinters. How many sprinters have we left who can re-engage Top Gear tomorrow? I guess we'll find out. There we are. It's going to be a long time coming for the stragglers today. I imagine we will have a number of retirements, Sean, before the final day. Nobody really wants to, but they might get timed out on this one.
Well, I think that is the concern, because the way they raced in the earlier part of the day, we could see the peloton was, really after breaking down a lot at the halfway point. So it could be a struggle for some of the men who lost contact on the earlier climb of the day, the 2nd category climb, which was, at the 75 kilometre mark, and then just to tackle this one alone, you can lose, 8-10 minutes very easily on this one. So there could be some guys who are eliminated, but other than that, I think they will try and fight on, because so close to the finish, I don't think anybody would throw in the towel unless they're very badly injured or sick.
Here's our winner.
What do you think? When do you remember the moment you get in the break? You thought in a win?
No, there was a big name in this breakaway. I have bad legs. No, not bad legs, but not very, very good legs. It was very difficult. Zangliru, it's mythic. This morning, if we was same as that, I don't believe that, because it's unbelievable. It's one of the hardest climbs of the world, and with a favorite. I was just there for Thibaut Pinot, Wallet, so win, and today it's one of the happiest day of my life.
Dice Kenny Ellison que para nada pensaba en este triunfo porque estaba en un grupo muy numeroso.
Well, he put it beautifully. He didn't believe it, Sean. And frankly, if you'd said it at the beginning of the day, perhaps we wouldn't as well. But there's been so many surprises in this world. Another question.
Very good and Angliru. You can ask for anything more?
It's unbelievable. We're very young. There is a very good atmosphere in this team. We try to doing something like that, but it's unbelievable. 3 weeks of dream for us.
Efectivamente, dice que son un equipo...
Yes, Jenny has won the Périgueux as well. Another declared pivotal day on this Vuelta. So they've had their fun, especially when it gets tough. It seems that Francis Tijoux just get tougher.
Thanks a lot.
Yes, well, what a performance there. And in his answer as well, he's English. You know, you have to hand it to him doing his best there and doing a great job. But you know, for Francis Tijoux, what a Vuelta it is, you know, with their second stage victory in this race, and you know, two big monumental stages. When Genet won, that was a stage into France, of course, and the mythic stage, as we heard him say, to win on Angliru, it's just a dream come true.
The clouds still rolling in here. Don't forget, tomorrow the Vuelta is not quite over. We may have our champion, but he'll be crowned in Madrid. He's got 109.6 kilometers to think about it, and I imagine he'll probably down a little bit of carver along the way. 1600 Central European Time, that's 3 p.m. in the United Kingdom, Portugal and Ireland. Check your local times around the world, because surely you're going to have to tune in just to see that Chris Horner smile. Take that red jersey for the last and the best time on the final day. Don't forget Grand Prix of Montreal as well tomorrow, and also don't forget the first day of the Tour of Great Britain here on your home of cycling, Eurosport. Well, we've had our fun. There is more to come tomorrow. We know that. Oh, gird your loins time, Sean. What will tomorrow throw up? Every day has had a surprise and a bit of drama.
Well, I think you know, we've had our surprises, but tomorrow is going to be an exceptional stage again. Of course, it's a day for the sprinters, the ones who have been surviving, and that ones will survive today. They will get to the finish inside the time limit. So it's normally a sprinter's day, but you know, what an exceptional race we've had. All 3 weeks, every day we have action all the way.
You just couldn't have scripted it, frankly. Every day has had its drama. No such thing as a transitional easy day on this one. Absolutely not. Hope you've enjoyed it just as much as we have. However much you've enjoyed it, it hasn't been as much as Chris Horner. Goodness me, 37 seconds his cushion going into the final day. He led by 3 at the start of the day. Nibali gave it everything. A little bit of dodgy tactics, maybe some words as to how much help he could have been offered when he went for it. I'm surprised the team radios didn't just scream at the boys to stop. He had Fulsang and Tirolongo on the mountain ready to help, and they kept riding instead of waiting for him. It might have been a different story, but to be honest, when you think deep, you think how deep Chris Horner can dig when he needs to. Even with that help, it possibly would not have been any help at all. Look at the view. It's not the prettiest, but it is one of the most dramatic. And you know what? This man, he'll take that any day. Ellison wins the day, makes it 2 stage victories for Francis Tijoux, but we have our champion, and here he is. His name is Christopher Horner. Never forget that. We'll see you tomorrow. From me, Carlton Kirby, and from Sean Kelly. Bye for now.